The following episode does involve discussion of suicide, so please, if you think that might be harmful to your mental health, hang back a second, maybe don't listen, or listen when you're in a better place.
If you or someone you know is depressed or may be in danger, please contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline.
1-800-273-8255. You can also contact the Trevor Project Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386.
You're in the place where mysteries and the missing meet, where conspiracies lurk around every corner. Welcome to the Deep Dark Truth.
Welcome back to the Deep Dark Truth. I'm Mo.
I'm Chip.
And I'm Mikey.
And today we are going to be talking about the disappearance of Kenny Veach and the M-shaped cave.
I don't know anything about this case, but the M-shaped cave needs work.
That's usually what people remember about it, which is why I included it in the title.
Other people probably do know it, I just don't.
No one likes a long intro, so let's jump right into this case. On November 10th, 2014, Kenny Veach told his family he was going on an overnight hike in the Desert National Wildlife Refuge north of Las Vegas. At 47 years old, Kenny was a very experienced hiker with over 20 years of hiking experience on his side. In fact, he had hiked in this exact area many times before. But Kenny would not, in fact, make it back from his overnight excursion, and that would be the last time Kenny's family or anyone else heard from him. According to NAMIS Missing Persons report, Kenny was last seen in person at a movie theater. Shortly after, he spoke on the phone with his ex-girlfriend, whom he told that he was going hiking. Some reports say that Kenny had told his family, and the NAMIS report says that it was his ex. So there are very few local news articles on this case, and a lot of the specifics kind of got lost. So I'm not sure if he only talked to the ex-girlfriend, if maybe he talked to the ex-girlfriend and his daughter, etc.
Do they say if, they had a good or bad relationship?
No, I think in this case, this isn't gonna be like Lena Chapin. In the lead up to his disappearance, Kenny had been publicly posting on YouTube an experience that he had hiking, where he said that he had encountered an M-shaped cave. Upon reaching the cave entrance, Kenny testified that he felt an overwhelming feeling of uneasiness, and since it was getting late in the day, he decided to head back and enter the cave at a different time, a time where he was armed and better prepared should something unexpected happen to him.
Does he mean armed like gun-armed or like hiker-armed?
He means armed like gun-armed, going into a cave pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, you don't know what animals are in there.
Bears, cougars, whatever.
Which is why you shouldn't go into a cave in the first place. It's not your domain.
Also, Nevada likes their guns. Kenny had made a comment on a YouTube video entitled Son of an Area 51 Technician. It read as follows. This ain't nothing. I'm a long-distance hiker. One time during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave. Nellis Air Force Base is very close to Area 51, which will factor into theories later that lots of people have put forth. The entrance to the cave was shaped like a perfect capital N. I always enter every cave I find, but as I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became. Suddenly, I became very scared and hightailed it out of there. That was one of the strangest things that has ever happened to me. Naturally, as is the case with most of the internet, several people decided to call Kenny out. Some decided that Kenny was bluffing, but most of them were encouraging Kenny to seek the M-shaped cave once again. Kenny let his audience on YouTube know that he would be attempting to get back to the cave and would be documenting his journey. This time, bringing a firearm with him for protection and a camera to record. In his first attempt to locate the M cave again, he was losing daylight and was unsuccessful, as his hike was a long one. He posted his video to YouTube and was further encouraged to try and find the cave once again. But some now started discouraging Kenny from finding the cave, with some comments now leaving an ominous taste in the mouth of those who read them. Comments like, if you go in that cave, you will never come out. His subscribers grew restless when they weren't updated on Kenny's progress. Where had Kenny gone and why hadn't his channel updated? Because on his second attempt, Kenny disappeared.
Bum, bum, bum.
What?
Kenny was declared a missing person, and 2 weeks later, volunteers searched for him in the Sheep Mountains, including the Red Rock Search and Rescue Team.
It took them 2 weeks? Hold on.
Yeah, why? I mean, 72 hours for a missing person, right?
I had lots of answers. As far as firsthand professional news sources go, there's only like 4 for this entire case. For the entire thing. Everything else is juxtaposition and basically people reciting the same information in those 4 articles over and over with new theories and with tidbits that people have discussed on Reddit, etc. So it's just a new packaging with new ideas about what could have happened to him.
Okay.
So this area of the desert, it's hours of hiking to get to the area that he was trying to get back to. And you can see in his first video, it's very hot. It's in the desert, having to carry X amount of water, X amount of supplies, should anything happen. That's gonna be a factor in how long it's gonna take him, even though he was an experienced hiker. And so I'm not sure. He was supposed to be gone for, it said overnight, but a couple sources said 2 days, which I think is probably more accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny's vehicle was recovered in a recreation area north of Las Vegas, which appears to be a somewhat popular place for hikers to park. Red Rock's search and rescue commander Dave Cummings told the local news in Vegas, "We found his cell phone close to a very vertical old mine shaft, and we can't find another trail. It doesn't mean that he's down the mine shaft, but we have tracked him as far as we can. We are having our other crews come in from the search areas." Later, Red Rock Search and Rescue Twitter would tweet that they did not believe that he was down the mine shaft. His daughter Victoria expressed worries over his access to food and water and her father's off-grid style of hiking. Quotes, "He has everything going for him. 5'8", 150 pounds, an avid hiker, martial arts guy, survivor. He'll eat a lizard. He knows what plants to eat. Knowing my dad, I'm pretty sure that he probably just hurt himself and he needs help. He's stuck and he needs help." Eventually, a comment would be added to Kenny's M Cave hike video that he had last posted from an account under the name of Sharon Pilgrim. "I am the girlfriend that Kenny spoke of in the video. There are so many posts. I had no idea until a friend let me know. So many people are wondering what happened and guessing different things. You are heartfelt about the sadness around what has happened with Kenny. He has not been found, and I feel that he will probably not be found for many, many months, if ever. I want to share what I know and feel about what happened, so that you might bring some closure and understanding to your own lives." Kenny absolutely loved hiking in the desert. It was his very, very favorite thing to do. We hiked and camped together all over the Nevada desert, sometimes 9 hours in a day. We found many abandoned mining towns, usually referred to as ghost towns by Nevada hikers. We explored many caves and mine shafts. We were always careful how we explored them, but Kenny was a bit more daring than I was. We wore snake guards, sun-protected clothing, used walking sticks, brought enough water and food for the hiking tours, and had extra food and water in the car. I want you to know that I do not think Kenny had an accident. I believe he committed suicide. He battled depression for many years and would not take medication or see a doctor. He quit his job a little more than a year before he disappeared. The search for him was started within a couple days of my call. Over 30 search and rescue team members searched 3 different times on foot. 1 helicopter flyover was done, and there was no trace of Kenny or any of his camping things. They found his car in the area where I told them it would be. They did find his cell phone by the mine shaft in the video, which is the first video that he had posted. The mine shaft was only about a 4-hour hike from his car. Only. Oh, man. It is my feeling that he left it behind so that he could not be tracked from the GPS on it. He also did not take his camera with him on a solo hike. It was left at home, so he had no intention of filming anything. I share this with you for 2 reasons. First, so that you have more of an understanding who Kenny was, and to bring some peace or understanding to the situation. Secondly, if any of you do decide to go out into our desert and look for him, or the M Cave, be careful and bring enough water and food. Walking sticks are a good idea, and not doing it as a solo hike. Bring a GPS and make sure you let family and friends know where you are heading and what time you will be returning. A search really can't be on a 1-day hike. You would be repeating much of the same hike, just getting up the mountain and then left with not many hours of the day to do the search. You would need 2 or 3 days at a time in the summer or even late spring. This cannot be done because of the heat of our desert. You would not be able to carry enough water. So please, please be careful. I have had many wonderful experiences with Kenny and will always remember him and have a place of love in my heart for him and the wonderful things we did together. I am healing from my loss and look forward to new experiences with desert hiking, camping, and taking beautiful pictures of our desert. Enjoy your adventures of life and thank you for the kind, loving comments sent my way.
Did you have a date on when this comment was left after he disappeared?
Ooh, I will get one. Yeah, it's interesting. She's referencing that Kenny had referenced her before in a video. And so he's saying, I'm the girlfriend that he spoke of. But according to the missing persons report that was submitted to Namus, that was his ex-girlfriend. Unless there was another ex-girlfriend and that was his girlfriend and he called his ex-girlfriend to let them know. But I don't think that's the case.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, and some reports say it was his family that reported it, but she's saying she did.
Yes. Oh, it doesn't. It just says years on YouTube. So it just says 4 years ago. It doesn't say, like, the exact date.
Okay, but that was... He went missing in 2014, and that's 2016, so it's a good while. Oh, yeah.
It was, like, a couple years later she posted that?
Yeah. Also, I contacted her for comment, and there was no comment.
What? She didn't respond to a reach out from a podcast with like 10 episodes we're on?
It's just whether or not they want to talk about something or not.
Yeah.
No. He faked his own death and he's living somewhere.
Okay, that's one of my theories. There's a couple reasons. First of all, like, I understand why she thinks that he may have killed himself, but I don't. As somebody that has hiked that so many times, there are, if you want to commit suicide, I feel like wandering off into the desert is a horrible way to do it.
If he loved hiking in the desert so much, maybe that's where he wanted to be.
A death by dehydration and awfulness.
He could have jumped.
He could have, but I mean, they haven't found anything of his aside from that phone and his car. They haven't found any of his clothes, any of his belongings, anything.
If he didn't take his video camera, like she said, that's the, like, big...
Lots of experienced hikers, so, like, anybody that does the PCT, the AT, etc., there's a certain weight that you want to be under hiking anywhere. So it could have been that he decided, hey, this camera's not that great, so I might as well just use my phone and not have to carry my camera. Because that's what I would do. I would just say, oh, I'm just going to use my phone. This is one more thing to pack. Especially since he started making videos for YouTube then. It's a lot easier to use your phone, you know, the quality and the zoom in and everything of your phone, but then be able to edit it right on your phone and upload it to YouTube.
Right. For sure.
Especially if you're not familiar with editing software and stuff like that.
But he wasn't found by his phone.
Right. Which is strange to me that he wasn't found by his phone.
The location of it is strange too, because it's right by the mine shaft that he's videotaped several times, and
exactly.
Like she is aware
and if
of.
they did find his,
it's almost like he purposely put it there, because like it's a location. Like he knew they would find his cell phone there, because he knew like that's the path they would take. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and for some reason, I would obviously rather believe that a 47-year-old man that has a daughter, because he was in debt, according to her comments, that he had left his job and hadn't really been working and this and that. So if he got in bed with some kind of nefarious loan sharks or something, that debt would disappear if he died.
True.
But he doesn't have to actually die for that to happen. He just has to be assumed dead for long enough that they declare him dead.
Right.
So, obviously, I can't verify this myself, but a YouTuber that has been making this same hike, looking for any signs of Kenny or his body or any of his belongings, his name is Libera Sean on YouTube. And he said that he's been in contact with one of Kenny's friends that had even lived with him for a time, and that friend said he loved to do this, he loved to go hiking, he collected all kinds of things, had like a collection of things he had found on his hikes. In his opinion, he didn't think that Kenny would have purposefully went, at least in that particular situation, to commit suicide. He thinks that something else happened to him, like how the daughter thinks that he got into some kind of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
One bit says that she's talking to him about suicide, and he also said if he decides to do it, quote, no one will ever find me. So...
Yike!
That's an interesting line.
That was from her?
Yeah, she said that in her YouTube comment.
I'm just so conflicted about the whole thing because of the circumstances of it. After being out of work for a while, and then he starts getting all these subscribers on YouTube, something that he could have turned into money and to a career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that, money helps depression, but under the line of thinking that she's kind of taking that, oh, he wasn't working and he was losing his purpose type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that success in that area and getting followers and getting people that really believed him and believed in what he was doing, that would make some kind of positive effect on him.
I guess, I don't know, I'm looking at the YouTube now and it's 17,000 subscribers, but who knows how much of that is from after, because if any sort of news reporting, you might go look at it, but, it's not, he's got 5 videos, 2 of them are for Shark Tank.
That Liberia Sean, he has videos that talk about it, right?
Yeah.
What does his say? Because he's got 261,000 views on one of his videos.
So he has went on a bunch of hikes. Evidently, there is some kind of company that comes in and fills old mines and anything that seems super dangerous, like maybe a cave that if you were to enter the cave, it would go straight down.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He found a cave that he thinks could possibly be M Cave that has since been filled in.
Mm.
And you can tell that this cave's been filled in because the kind of rock is more like cement-like in its patching. Like it's pieced a whole bunch of different pieces that have been pieced together and they were loose. There's so many different theories, and I don't think that he's explicitly said exactly what he's thought. A couple times he's said, oh, that seems like it's possible. Some people think that he found an illegal nuclear waste dumping site. And that's why he had such a visceral reaction to the cave, that it was actually because of some sort of chemicals or something that was in it, which is interesting. Also, Ibera Shad actually got very ill after going to the cave. He threw up on camera like 15 times.
Ugh.
Holy fuck.
You might be able to make yourself throw up, but probably not while you're staring at a camera and do it that many times.
Yeah.
And then he said he didn't really feel great for like weeks after, which is why he decided, hey, maybe this is it, because I didn't think that theory had any worth before, and then I got real sick. I love when Chip growls.
It also says in like one website that he decided to do this last hike without overnight camping equipment that he usually uses.
Oh, can you link to that article? I haven't seen anybody say that. I want to know what this place is, because this is an outdoors mysterious thing. It's like what we're doing. So where is the actual news account of that is what my question is.
Right.
Citations.
It's weird that it mentions it. You know what I mean? Supposedly that's saying that it was the 3rd trip out to the area. The 2nd time he went with a gun, but couldn't find it.
The first time he left a comment on someone else's YouTube that was about Area 51.
So for the first 2 hikes is what this is saying, is that he had the camera with him.
Well, the first hike he didn't.
He didn't have the camera with him.
No, he didn't, or at least he didn't record anything and upload it to YouTube. The second time is the time that's on his YouTube.
Yeah, like why wouldn't he take the video camera with him?
So it also said Kenny told YouTubers he was going on a 3rd trip. He invited others to join them. No one offered to come. And so if that was his plan, why would he invite
Maybe
people?
that was the reason why he killed himself, because he wanted, like, he was excited about this project and no one would go with him, and it was like his last thing that he was holding on to. Maybe he wasn't really depressed and in a bad spot.
Not that any of us know this information because so few articles, but was his equipment found, like, at his house, and that's why we know he didn't take it? And, like, did he bring his gun? Is that still at his house?
Yeah, it doesn't say. I wonder if the gun was there or not. Like, isn't that a crucial, like...
If, after him being worried the first time, if they were to say he left his gun versus he left his gear, because he might have packed lighter, he might have used a different gear than he normally uses.
I mean, that one specifically said, like, overnight.
So our theories are suicide and aliens?
I mean, suicide, disappeared himself. But he could have also fell down a mine shaft or got bit by a snake or eaten by a mountain lion.
Something very,
mundane.
I don't want to say mundane, but yeah, exactly.
I mean, if he had a daughter, he had a granddaughter too, apparently.
So the family says that they have problems with the suicide theory, but the ex-girlfriend, obviously, that's what she believes.
Do you say they have a theory? The family?
Well, the daughter just thought that something happened to him.
Oh,
she
right.
just basically said, hey, he could be, somewhere stuck without food or water. He could have fallen. He could have hurt himself.
Or injured himself, yeah. Right.
So he left his video camera behind, but he did take his regular camera. So I feel like between a regular camera and his phone. That's not super strange. And to say because he didn't take his video camera, he had no intentions of filming, I think is crazy. I don't even use a video camera. I haven't used a video camera in 10 years. This is 2020.
Right.
Well, it was 2014, but yeah.
Still.
Yeah, it's weak evidence on its own.
I mean, what if it's like magic and it's like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe cave and he
went into the M cave and he came out in Narnia.
Narnia.
So some of the other theories are that he somehow stumbled across some type of drug traffickers, or he got too close to some type of government site because it's so close to the Air Force Base and Area 51. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of theories surrounding that.
Or what if it was like the cave and the Lord of the Rings?
The Mines of Moria?
Spider? Yeah.
They have a cave troll.
So, nuclear testing facility, he somehow, or drug traffickers, I feel like they're the same thing. It's basically like he got himself in a situation that made him collateral damage. I guess that also factors into some type of, secret government project. He fell and hurt himself somehow, or something happened that he became dehydrated and ran out of water. He killed himself, or he just disappeared himself.
How bad would you feel if you were one of those friends that were asked to go with him and you didn't? Like, ugh.
I think I'd be guilty, and then I'd be angry, and then it'd be a lot of angry. Just judging my personal experience, I'll say 20 years of rage.
Give or take.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah, for some reason, I really think he disappeared himself. I do think them filling caves and filling shafts and not filling that particular mine shaft that his phone was found by, which is like a ridiculous straight down drop, is strange and suspect, especially because where that mine shaft is a lot closer to like that recreation area we talked about, and where he assumed that the M cave was that he was trying to get back to, the area that he thought it was in, which I believe is in the picture range.
This guy was intense. One of his YouTube posts says, "My hikes are so brutal on the body. After one of my long hikes, some of my toenails turn black and fall off. It takes me about 3 days to recover from the abuse that I put myself through on one hike."
I'm sorry, what? Why do people hike?
The idea is that that's a lot more out of the way. So why wouldn't why would they take the time to fill what some believe is the M cave, the entrance to it, and not that giant mine shaft that is much more dangerous. But yeah, something about the fact that his phone is there.
Mm-hmm. That's the bizarre part to me.
And he is nowhere to be found, and he wasn't down the mine shaft. Like, I can understand, he seems like the kind of guy that would just be like, I'm going down this mine shaft.
Yeah, but, like, why would he drop his phone?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he was going over the edge and he had his phone out because he didn't have his video camera, remember? So he would have used his phone as he was climbing down to try and take video footage of it. I would be really interested to know.
But it was found near the mine, like not in it, right?
But the entrance to it, let me see if I can find a picture for you. It's in his video.
Did you read up on like the caves and how caves produce a wide range of like harmonics and frequencies and like
yes,
that could explain some of the like effect he was having on him the closer he got to it? Because I thought that was interesting too.
But it's also interesting that he had been such an experienced hiker, had done lots of spelunking and lots of cave exploration, lots of mine exploration, and that he felt like this was unlike anything that he had felt before. Which, that to me is the interesting part with how experienced he was. And I feel like experience comes into it a lot.
Right, for sure.
So that's his end cave video, and it's like really within the first few minutes, and there's like a wooden ladder that goes down the mine shaft.
Interesting.
And you can see down it.
Mm-hmm.
You would think, let's say he is climbing down this makeshift ladder thing. So he's climbing down this mine shaft. He has his phone out. If he were to slip and fall, he might, as he's slipping, he might let go of that phone that he's using to record video.
Right.
And then that phone would then end up somewhere off the wooden base. The fact that they didn't find him, that's which makes my brain think they really explored it and they really looked as much as they could, because you also have to factor in, what if he just went down the mine shaft and he just kept going? You know, going in little nooks and crannies and went somewhere that the search and rescue didn't go to or didn't realize there was access to. That's possible. But it would have been strange that he didn't come up for his phone unless, again, he went into the mine shaft specifically to commit suicide. But they didn't find him. So...
And they did said that, like, we have tracked him as far as we can. Meaning, like, there was, like, evidence that he went in there?
There was no more evidence of him being anywhere after it, basically. Like, they couldn't find anything that said that he left from there.
So he had to have went inside it.
But they allegedly checked and said, all clear, not here. Sorry.
Well, they said as far as we can. It probably went on forever.
That's the other thing. How big is the caves?
Right.
Well, this mine shaft.
I mean, they tracked him to that spot, found his phone, and there's no other tracks of him leaving.
Yeah, they basically said, we found his cell phone. It was close to the mine shaft. We can't find another trail. It doesn't mean that he's down the mine shaft, but we have tracked him as far as we can. We're having other crews come in from the search areas. And then let me find the thing that they said on Twitter. I got stuck behind a paywall.
Capitalism, you're getting in the way of justice.
Also, I have to add that even though I do not subscribe to this theory, some people believe that the entire disappearance is a hoax because of how little actual professional news coverage there was of it. Most of it is generated by the internet and people that are interested in how mysterious the disappearance felt, and the fact that people were kind of started talking about M Cave right before he disappeared, and then all of a sudden he disappears. So the idea was maybe it's like the whole M Cave thing was made and talked about, and it was a whole story created specifically so that he could just either disappear or kill himself and have it be meaningful, or having it have some kind of notoriety.
Well, that's a weak theory, so...
Yeah.
We could just discard that.
We know that at the very least, Kenny Veach was a real person that really disappeared. When you do missing persons report and they get put on, I don't know if like people pronounce it Namus or Namus.
I don't know. I was just looking at it like I would go Namus, but
you have to have like a police report and things have to be...
It was all a publicity stunt.
Things have to be verified. There has to be a police report, etc. So at the very least, he was a real person.
Step 1. Verify realness. Done.
It's interesting for sure. Do you want to go hiking?
I hate hiking. It is a bad thing.
No, I like hiking, but I don't like hiking for more than 4 hours. Period. Not 4 hours there and 4 hours back. 4 hours.
Yeah, I've done like 4 hours, but I don't know about
I'm certainly not going to go hiking in one of the hottest places on the entire planet.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hiking in Arizona all over, but...
Obviously the hot part.
Yeah, the hot part. Well, I went in October. I was hiking in October.
I mean, he disappeared in November, but still, it can reach 137 where he was in July.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. There's so many theories in this case.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, missing person sort of leaves the window open for anything.
Yeah, but usually a missing person's case is like this person killed them and or some unforeseen event happened. It's not so conspiracy driven. I don't know.
I mean, there's a theory out there that it was a magical being that lures in depressed souls to die. Like, that was a theory.
Some people might know Kenny from one of his YouTube videos where he talked about selling himself along with his house. So he basically proposed the idea of purchasing his house as somebody else's vacation home, but then he got to live in it. And something actually happens like that in the Netflix show Ozarks.
What?
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure
confused.
it's like all a joke, but he's basically saying, hey, buy my house for a vacation home, but also let me live here.
Oh, he is a handsome cowboy. The video is titled Handsome Cowboy Sells Himself with His Home. He's a reasonably handsome cowboy.
So what do you think, Chip?
I think he's probably just dead somewhere. I mean, yeah, he's an experienced hiker, but everyone fucks up.
Like something random? Mm-hmm.
He'll eat a lizard, direct quote.
He knows what plants not to eat.
I was trying to look up statistics for how many bodies just aren't found for people who go missing while hiking, but that stat is hard to come by. But most people who go missing are found, so...
Really?
We're not going to get hella deep into the David Paulides missing 411 thing, but in national parks, when people go missing, there is no database that's specifically for people that have gone missing in the national parks. Usually they're reported to whatever nearest town is then takes over as the missing persons case. So we really have no idea how many people have went missing in national parks, this being a national park.
Yeah.
Zero ideas.
There are books you can buy about how many people end up dead at the Grand Canyon, most of them because of their own stupidity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Also helicopter accidents.
I witnessed lots of that stupidity. I would include getting in a helicopter at the Grand Canyon as part of that stupidity. I'm not kidding.
I've never seen the Grand Canyon as many times as I've been to Arizona.
It's a giant hole that makes you dissociate.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought it would be.
It's gorgeous. And then you look down and you're like, no, this hole should never be this big. How was the hole so big?
Or it makes you very dumb and it makes you go over the barrier so that you can get a better picture and whoops, you slipped and died. God, people.
Was that a call out? I feel called out.
Did you slip and die?
No, I didn't.
How cool would it be to explore these ghost towns, though?
There is a ghost town. Actually, I think there's two in the Smoky Mountains National Park, one of which me and Chip went to. A lot of different national parks have ghost towns in them, specifically because at one point people lived on that land and then the government...
Right, and then the government took it as like a park.
So even if that ghost town is 3 houses or like 4 barns...
Right.
Yeah, most ghost towns you just need a tetanus shot update.
Also, another specific theory, very specific, says that a species of aliens known as the Tall Whites are based inside Nellis Air Force Base, and that they may have something to do with Kenny's disappearance.
The species are split up by Air Force Base? This is ours. You have to have Area 51. That one's too popular.
Like, they took over the Air Force Base?
Yep, ask me no questions. I'll tell you no lies.
Weird. I don't think that one's the correct theory.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I don't think alien abduction. I don't think if it was something governmental, it would be like Area 51. There would be signs posted. It wouldn't be in the wildlife refuge.
Right.
Oh, it absolutely would. I just don't think it's the government because, well, I guess they wouldn't have to make the effort to cover it up.
You think that it would be in the wildlife refuge, though?
Sure. Anywhere you can hide a thing. Not everything is so
but
clearly
it's public
labeled as Area
land,
51.
which means everyone has access to it.
Sometimes the best hiding spot is in plain sight, isn't it?
Especially when you can fall down a mine shaft 10 feet over.
Oh, no. I'm really hoping that Kenny's in Mexico. I'm hoping he borrowed some money from some people, and he had to leave.
Yeah, I'm going with I think his death was faked.
I just think it's so strange. I don't know. You'd have to be in bed with some seriously, like, terrifying people, I feel like, to make your kids think that you died in the desert.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't put that past a human being.
Well, no.
No, yeah.
I mean, at
definitely
47,
not.
he could have just had this epiphany, like, this isn't the life I want to live. I don't know.
Something about that phone really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible that he just set down the phone and kept trekking and was like, well, I'm just gonna go find a place.
Well, I mean, if he was trying to be found in Kate or whatever, he was worried about something happening, maybe he left his phone above ground so that it could be tracked.
Or he could just be forgetful, like
he sat down to rest.
alright, I'm gonna go down this cave or that cave or the other, and then just forgot to pick up his phone. He's 47.
I feel like I'm forgetful as hell and I'm always looking for my phone, but like, if it was just me, a desert, and a mine shaft, I'm gonna make sure that like my phone's on me.
Yeah, but what if he never went down the mine shaft at all? What if, like in the first video, he stopped there, he didn't go down the mine shaft, he sat, he drank some water, he rested because he's on a 1,000,000-hour hike.
Mm-hmm.
He got up and didn't realize he had left his phone, and then later he's like, oh, I must have dropped my phone somewhere. Meanwhile, he didn't drop it at all. He had set it down when he sat down.
Yeah. And he's been hiking for longer than cell phones have been a thing, so it's not necessarily part of his routine that he's had his whole life. It should be. He probably is.
He didn't carry a GPS beacon because he's been hiking
He didn't
for 20
bring his
years.
gun.
Yeah. And the only reason he brought his gun later is because he was like, that cave seems real scary. Something might be in there.
Do not like. But also, I want to go back. And don't like cave, but like enough to investigate.
I think he just thought that it was so much different from his other experiences, and that's why he wanted to investigate, but he was smart enough to not do it.
Back the fuck up.
Yeah, not do it until he felt in a position to do it. Which really, I think, especially for an overnight trip, if he had planned an overnight trip versus the first video, I'm pretty sure he just walks there and walks back. And it's awful. So, if he would have went there, hey, I'm gonna walk as far as I can, I'm gonna sleep, and then I'm going to wake up and investigate the cave in the light and see if I could see something that I have been missing. Maybe he just got eaten by a coyote.
Yeah, I'm falling on mundane on this one.
I still feel like they would find something. Like, they would have found a piece of clothing or some DNA or anything around his cell phone if that was the case.
Yeah, but this area is so remote that he could have been like, oh, I'm just gonna keep walking, and walked in the dark and walked off course. Even when the YouTuber that's been making the hike and trying to find hide or hair of him, he was walking back in the dark, and he overshot where his car was by, like, an entire football field because he couldn't see it because of how dark it was. So, if he kept hiking in the night, even though he was an experienced hiker, he might be in a place where they think he was going exactly here, and he either wasn't because he was going to check maybe the cave was on the other side, and I'm mistaken since I didn't find it last time. Or he kept hiking in the dark and just got off course, and so they looked in the wrong places.
Yeah, and the coyote drags his body back to the den. Nom nom nom. Yeah, there are clothes scraps to be found, but how hard is it to find clothes scraps in the entirety of Nevada?
Right.
It's a huge area. There's so much, like, brush, like that desert brush.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was going disappeared himself on purpose because of the phone, and now I kind of think he just sat down to rest and left his phone. Totally by accident. Just left his phone. He had never went down the shaft at all. It's weeks later, and this is the desert. What kind of trail are you going to find? It's not like there's going to be a lot of shoe impressions because there's not water. So it's not like his feet are in mud or in something that would leave a really big impression. And with that dusty dirt, I feel like any amount of wind is going to easily get rid of tracks after days.
Yeah, for sure. Especially weeks after when they found it and stuff like that. I totally understand that. I mean, that is completely plausible that happened. I still think this was a fake. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, also, the no one will find me theory supports disappearing himself just as strongly as it does suicide.
Oh, correct. Yeah. It's like leaving a breadcrumb trail for, I'm going to disappear by suicide.
Yeah, she said that they had that conversation, like, days before.
Yeah,
she said, you're not going to pull a Robin Williams or something on me, to him. And then that's when he said, you know, I do know that if I ever do, they will never find me.
I know that it just seems so incriminating because he disappeared. But I know lots of people that have said that in the context of I would never make my family find my body if I decided to commit suicide. People that have no intention of committing suicide still say that.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason it's incriminating is because he disappeared.
Right. Hindsight 2020.
Yes. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, call in your tips to our tip line, or text them. That's all. Until next time, I'm Mo.
I'm Chip.
And I'm Mikey.
Bye.
Bye.